Imagine this. It's 3 a.m., and the world around you is completely still. The house is so quiet you can almost hear your own breathing. The streets outside are empty, and even those little nighttime sounds, like the hum of the fridge or a distant car, seem to have hit the pause button. But there you are, lying in bed, eyes wide open, staring into the dark, wondering why you're awake again. If you're an older adult, this might feel like a scene you know all too well. That frustrating moment when the clock says 3 a.m. and sleep feels a million miles away. Maybe you've even started calling it your personal witching hour, that time when your mind decides it's ready to start the day, even though the rest of the world is still dreaming. You're not alone in this, trust me. So many people just like you find themselves snapped awake at this odd hour, asking, why does this keep happening to me? Well, here's the thing. It's not just some random quirk of getting older. And it's not just about a restless night tossing and turning. There's something deeper going on, like a hidden message from your body and soul, tapping you on the shoulder in the quiet of the night. Today, we're going to figure this out together, peel back the layers of this 3 a.m. mystery, and discover what it's really trying to tell you. Because once you understand it, those early wake-ups might just start to feel a little less like a nuisance and a little more like a gift. Hey there, welcome to the Elder's Timeless Voice, where we dig into the real stuff that matters as we age. You know that moment when you wake up at 3 a.m., the house is quiet, and it feels like you're the only one awake in the world. It's frustrating, isn't it? But here's the thing. It's not just some random annoyance that comes with getting older. It's actually a signal from your body, and it happens to way more seniors than you might realize. In this video, we're going to unpack 5 surprising reasons behind these early wake-ups, reasons that go beyond the usual advice you've probably heard a million times, like sipping chamomile tea before bed. These are fresh insights, grounded in how our bodies and minds shift as we move through life. And it's not just about figuring out why you're staring at the ceiling in the middle of the night. These moments might be whispering something bigger about your health, your sleep habits, and even the story of who you are. By the time we're done here, you might not just understand those 3 a.m. wake-ups, you might actually start to see them in a whole new light. So, let's jump right in and find out what's really going on when the clock strikes 3. So, let's kick things off with something I like to call the midnight hormone heist. Don't worry, it's not as sneaky as it sounds, but it does shed light on why you might be wide awake at 3 a.m. Picture this. Your body has a sleepy time gatekeeper called melatonin. When you're younger, this little hormone is like a rock-solid friend, making sure you stay cozy in dreamland all night long. But as we get older, melatonin starts playing a game of hide-and-seek. By the time 3 a.m. hits, it's often hiding a bit too well, leaving your brain buzzing when you'd rather be snoozing. Here's where it gets really interesting though. While you're asleep, your liver's pulling an all-nighter. Think of it as your body's janitor, sweeping through and detoxing everything from that extra slice of pizza to the day's stress. And when does it kick into high gear? You guessed it, right around 3 a.m. As it's busy cleaning house, that burst of activity can sometimes give you a little nudge, like your body's way of saying, hey, just letting you know I'm on the job. It's not exactly the wake-up call you asked for, but it's all part of the system keeping you humming along. Let me tell you about Ruth, who's 70 and used to dread those early morning wake-ups. Night after night, she'd find herself staring at the clock at 3 a.m., wondering why sleep had abandoned her. She'd toss, turn, and get more frustrated by the minute, thinking it was some kind of curse. But then she discovered her liver was just doing its nightly tune-up, and everything clicked. Instead of fighting it, she decided to team up with her body. She started dimming the lights in the evening to keep her melatonin from fading too fast, ditched her phone an hour before bed, and added a warm turmeric tea ritual to her night, something soothing that gives her liver a little love. Now, when that 3 a.m. nudge happens, she doesn't panic. She takes a deep breath, maybe sips some water, and usually drifts back to sleep by 4 a.m., feeling like she's cracked the code. Want to give it a try yourself? It's easier than you think. Start by making your evenings a screen-free zone. Those bright lights from your phone or TV can throw off your melatonin game. As bedtime gets closer, dim the lights around the house to set the mood, and maybe treat yourself to a warm, cozy drink like herbal tea. Something simple like chamomile or even a splash of turmeric can help your liver do its thing without pulling you out of sleep. It's a small tweak, but it might just be the trick to sailing through that 3 a.m. wake-up call and waking up refreshed instead. So, while your melatonin might be playing a little game of hide-and-seek at night, there's another reason you could be waking up at 3 a.m., and it has to do with your internal clock. Ever feel like your day is winding down before the sun even sets? Like you're ready to call it a night while everyone else is still enjoying their evening? That's your body's natural rhythm, or circadian rhythm, fast-forwarding into what I like to call the senior time zone. It's not just a random shift. It's something that happens naturally as we age, especially if you've spent years waking up early for work or other routines. Think of it like a clock that's been wound a little too tight over the decades. Now it's ticking ahead, pulling your sleep schedule earlier and earlier. In fact, there's a fancy term for this: phase advance. All that means is your sleep-wake cycle is moving forward, so you're getting sleepy sooner and waking up earlier than you used to. But here's the good news: it's not set in stone. You can actually help your body adjust. Take John, for example. He's 66 and spent most of his life as a baker, waking up at 4 a.m. to get the bread ovens going. Even after retiring, his body was still stuck on that early schedule, waking him up at 3 a.m. like clockwork. At first, he thought he was doomed to be an early riser forever, but then he discovered a simple trick: soaking up some late afternoon sun. See, sunlight, especially in the golden hours before sunset, helps regulate your internal clock. It's like giving your body a gentle reminder that the day isn't over yet. John started taking short walks or just sitting on his porch around 5 or 6 p.m., and slowly but surely, his wake-up time shifted closer to dawn. If the weather didn't cooperate, he'd use a soft lamp that mimics sunrise to get that same effect. It wasn't an overnight fix, but it made a world of difference. So, if your body feels like it's living in a different time zone, don't worry, you can help it adjust. Try catching some of those golden hour rays in the late afternoon, or if you're stuck indoors, a gentle sunrise lamp can do the trick. It's like giving your internal clock a little nudge to stay in sync with the day. And who knows, you might even start to enjoy those early mornings, watching the world wake up with a cup of coffee in hand. So, while your internal clock might be pulling you into an early-to-bed routine, there's another reason you could be waking up at 3 a.m., and it's like your body's own silent alarm system kicking in. At that quiet hour, when the world is hushed and still, your body can feel like a night watchman, quietly patrolling for any signs of trouble. Maybe it's a stiff knee that wasn't bothering you during the day, a sudden racing pulse, or that familiar nudge to head to the bathroom. These little alerts can be enough to pull you out of sleep, leaving you wondering why your body seems to be on high alert in the dead of night. Here's the thing: as we get older, our bodies become more sensitive to these minor signals, especially when everything else is quiet. It's like your brain turns up the volume on any discomfort or change, making it harder to ignore. And believe it or not, this isn't just a quirk of aging. It's actually a survival trait. Back in the day, our ancestors needed to be alert to potential dangers, even while sleeping. So, our brains are wired to be extra sensitive at night, picking up on anything that feels off, whether it's a creaky joint or a shift in our breathing. Take Lila, for example. She's 73 and used to wake up at 3 a.m. with her heart racing, feeling like something was wrong but not sure what. It wasn't until she mentioned it to her doctor that she found out she had mild sleep apnea, a condition where breathing stops and starts during sleep. With a few tweaks, like a new pillow to support her airways and some advice from her doctor, her nights got a lot quieter. Now, when she wakes up, it's usually just to roll over and drift back to sleep. So, if you're finding yourself awake at 3 a.m. with a nagging ache or a restless feeling, don't just brush it off. Your body might be trying to tell you something. Try listening to those signals. Maybe adjust your sleep setup, like getting a more supportive pillow or mattress, or if it keeps happening, have a chat with your doctor. It could be a small fix that makes a big difference in how you sleep. So, while your body might be sending you little signals in the night, there's another reason you could be waking up at 3 a.m., and it has to do with how life changes as we get older. Our days often become a little quieter. Maybe you're not rushing off to work anymore, or the kids have moved out, and the house feels a bit emptier. You might find yourself with more time on your hands, and while that can be peaceful, it can also play tricks on your sleep. When your days aren't as packed, your body might start winding down earlier in the evening. You might feel sleepy by 8 or 9 p.m., and before you know it, you're tucked in bed. But here's the catch. If you go to bed early, your body might think it's had enough sleep by 3 a.m., and suddenly you're wide awake. But it's not just about the physical rest. Your brain is used to being active, solving problems, and staying engaged. When your days are quieter, it might start looking for something to do in the middle of the night, like a gentle nudge saying, "Hey, is there something we should be thinking about?" Let me tell you about Tom. He's 69 and used to have a busy career, always on the go. When he retired, he swapped his office for a garden, which he loves, but he noticed something strange. He started waking up at 3 a.m., feeling alert and restless. At first, he couldn't figure out why, but then he realized his brain was missing the mental buzz of his old job. So, he started doing crossword puzzles in the evening, just to give his mind a little workout before bed. And guess what? His sleep stretched longer, and those 3 a.m. wake-ups became less frequent. So, if you find yourself in a similar spot, try keeping your mind gently humming in the evening. Nothing too intense, just a light hobby like a crossword, a puzzle, or even reading a few pages of a book. It's not about exhausting yourself. It's about giving your brain a little purpose before you drift off. And remember, steer clear of screens. Netflix binges might seem relaxing, but they can actually make it harder to stay asleep. And sometimes, those early wake-ups aren't just about your body, they're about your soul, stirring in the stillness. You know, there's something almost magical about 3 a.m. Throughout history, it's been seen as a sacred hour, when monks would rise in the dark to pray, their whispers mingling with the quiet of the night. Many cultures say it's a time when the world hushes, and the veil between what we see and what we feel thins out a little. It's like the mind gets a chance to unravel the tapestry of your life, thread by thread, in a way it can't when the sun's up and the day's buzzing. So, if you find yourself blinking awake at that hour, maybe it's not just restlessness. Maybe it's your spirit nudging you to reflect, to grieve a little, or even to dream something new. Let me tell you about Maria. She's 78, and for her, those 3 a.m. moments started coming with old songs drifting through her head. Melodies from way back, ones she hadn't hummed since she was a kid. At first, she'd just lie there, in the dark, letting them play like a private concert. But then she decided to do something with it. She kept a little recorder by her bed and started humming those tunes into it, soft and steady. Now, she's sharing those recordings with her grandkids. Little pieces of her life, her legacy, wrapped up in song. What could have been just another sleepless night turned into a way to connect, to pass something beautiful down. So, if you're waking up at 3 a.m. with thoughts swirling or memories tapping on your shoulder, don't push them away. Embrace the whisper. Keep a notepad or something simple by your bed to catch those midnight musings before they slip off into the dark. You might find a story there you've never told, a dream you'd tucked away, or just a quiet chance to sit with the life you've lived. It's not about losing sleep. It's about listening to what's stirring inside you. So here's the thing. Those 3 a.m. wake-ups that leave you staring at the ceiling, they're not just random blips in your night. They're like little messages, whispered in the dark by your body and maybe even your soul. Sometimes it's your hormones pulling a sneaky heist with melatonin dodging the scene. Other times, it's your internal clock slipping into a funky time warp, or your body tapping you on the shoulder like a night watchman with something to say. And then there are those quieter moments when it's not about the physical at all. It's your spirit stirring, asking you to pause, to think, to feel the weight and wonder of your own story. These aren't interruptions stealing your sleep. They're glimpses into your health, your rhythms, and all the wisdom you've picked up along the way. Next time you find yourself blinking into the stillness at 3 a.m., don't just groan and flip the pillow. Lean in a little. What's your 3 a.m. trying to tell you today? It might be a nudge to wind down differently, maybe dim the lights earlier, or sip some chamomile before bed. Could be a hint to check in with your doctor about that nagging ache you've been ignoring. Or perhaps it's something deeper, an invitation to sit with your thoughts, to trace the lines of your life and see where they've brought you. You're not just waking up in the middle of the night, you're awakening to a richer, truer version of yourself, one that's been there all along, waiting for you to listen. I'd love to know what hits home for you. What's one thing you'll try next time those early hours call your name? Drop it in the comments below. Your story might just spark something for someone else. And if this feels like a journey worth taking together, let's keep it going. Hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the bell so we don't miss a step. We're in this together, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.